everyone, and welcome to Building Your Toolbox, a monthly educational series where individuals learn a pain management strategy or skill. My name is Nicole Hemingway, and I serve as the CEO of the U.S. Pain Foundation, a national nonprofit dedicated to improving the quality of life and health outcomes for the more than 51.6 million Americans living with chronic pain. Our mission is to empower, educate, connect, and advocate for all individuals, kids, and adults that live with chronic illnesses or serious injuries that cause pain. Through our free programs and services, we are here to offer support, connection, information, and tools so that you can advocate better. Please know that you are not alone on your journey. Today, as we start off the new year, we are focused in on talking about a personal story and the experiences and learnings that Michele Rice has uncovered over the years as she has managed her own chronic pain. Before we hear from her, though, I want to go over a couple of disclaimers. Please know that tonight's event is educational only. The thoughts and opinions expressed by our guest presenter are their own and do not represent the thoughts or opinions of U.S. Pain Foundation. Additionally, this information is not meant to take the place of your healthcare providers. You should always consult with them about your unique health situation. The organization also does not recommend or endorse any one therapy, treatment, or product. So with that, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our guest presenter, Michele Rice. Michele has lived with chronic pain for over 20 years. She is a former teacher, and in my opinion, she is still using her teaching skills to this day to help inform other individuals living with chronic pain. She is a volunteer facilitator of 2 U.S. Pain Foundation peer support groups, and she is a patient lead for the U.S. Pain Foundation. I am so happy to have you here with us today, Michele, to talk about your personal story living with pain, but also really sharing some of those learnings that you have uncovered over the years, the tools, the wisdom, the insight that you can help provide to others who are going along this same journey. So with that, I am going to turn it over to you to begin to share your personal story.
My chronic pain journey began when I was 29 years old and a 4th grade school teacher, as well as a pharmacy technician part-time. I absolutely loved my job, and other than wanting to be a mom, it was really all I ever wanted to do. I was healthy, active, and I had a lot of friends. But this all changed on September 21st of 2000, when a slip and fall on a wet floor outside of my classroom door led to an injured knee, hip, and back. I made it to work that next day, though it was very difficult. And I felt like I barely made it through that day. So I headed to the doctor's office after school let out. I had no idea that would be the last time I would ever step foot in the school. And it was the very last time I would ever be an elementary school teacher. It was also the last time I would be able to drive for the next 13 years. Over the next several visits to the doctor's office, I was instructed to rest, ice, and elevate my knee. And I also began physical therapy. I was given a steroid injection and prescribed higher doses of pain medication. When I continued to have increasing pain, the doctor ordered an MRI. The MRI showed that I had a torn meniscus, and I was referred to an orthopedic surgeon who was also the surgeon for the 49ers and the San Francisco Ballet Company at the time. He originally disagreed with that first MRI, stating he didn't see a torn meniscus and therefore he didn't think I needed surgery. Instead, he gave me crutches, stronger pain medication, and instructed me to continue resting my knee and start some physical therapy, or continue with physical therapy. He said I would be much better in 5 weeks, which was when he wanted to see me for a follow-up appointment. Those next 5 weeks were really scary. My pain had continued to increase, and I didn't know why. I began to have swelling in my leg, my foot, and my knee, and I was having trouble tolerating the sheets even touching my skin when I was in bed. I would call the nurse to express my concerns, but she just assured me it was all part of the healing process. By the time I had my follow-up appointment with the orthopedic surgeon, I was having tremendous difficulty walking and even moving my knee. When the doctor came in to examine me, he was shocked at my decline, and he had his colleague come in to examine me. They both suspected that I had reflex sympathetic dystrophy, otherwise known as RSD, which they said in passing as they headed out the door. I was sent for another MRI, which showed I did indeed have a torn meniscus, and then sent for a sympathetic nerve block to confirm the diagnosis of RSD. No explanation was given to my mom or I about what RSD was, and no treatment plan was provided. My pain meds were either increased at this time or changed to something stronger. On our own, we learned that RSD, also known as complex regional pain syndrome or CRPS, is a neurological syndrome that causes severe burning pain, pathological changes to the bone and skin, excessive sweating, tissue swelling, and extreme sensitivity to touch. Over the next several years, I tried dozens of treatments to deal with my escalating pain, some which were considered experimental. I tried various invasive treatments like prolotherapy injections, lots of different medications, different types of physical therapy, sympathetic nerve blocks, epidurals, pain management classes. Lots of things were tried, and none of them helped me to feel any better. And if they did help, it was very short lived. Some of the procedures were excruciatingly painful and would take days and sometimes even weeks to recover from. I was on countless medications, including opiates and muscle relaxers, gabapentin, steroids, antidepressants, and the list goes on. Then I would take medications to counteract the side effects of those medications. At one time, my family counted that I was actually taking 39 pills a day and taking them 11 times a day around the clock. I started to develop extreme fatigue, short-term memory loss, and my personality basically disappeared because I was so medicated. I would often fall asleep at my laptop or with food in my mouth, or even sometimes fall asleep in the middle of a sentence. I began to get migraines, nausea, dizziness, and I gained more than 100 pounds. One of the worst side effects was opioid-induced constipation, which led to countless trips to the ER. Another horrible experience was when I started a new drug combination and I developed severe hallucinations. I literally had to sleep between my parents in their bed for months as I couldn't even walk into my own bedroom in the daytime due to PTSD. By this time, I was living in my childhood bedroom where I rarely left my bed, and I was using a wheelchair to get around when I did leave the house. I had lost my teaching career, the ability to drive. I could not tolerate wearing pants or shoes. Even in the winter, I had to wear shorts and hold a blanket over my leg to protect it from the air due to hypersensitivity. Positive changes began to happen when I attended my first 8-week chronic pain management program. This was the first time that I met someone else living with chronic debilitating pain. By 2005, I was still confined to a wheelchair the majority of the time, and I was taking 140 milligrams of methadone a day, along with a bunch of other medications. I began to lose hope until a blessing in disguise happened. Workers' compensation insurance forced me to change pain management doctors, and my new doctor worked at Bay Area Pain and Wellness Center, which is in Los Gatos, California. This center had a functional restoration program, also called FRP, that offered a comprehensive interdisciplinary pain management approach. I had an evaluation with their team of doctors, and I was told I could enter the program if I was able to get off methadone, to which I agreed, even though I was really scared to do that. Part of my decision was based on the fact that I was having level 10 pain despite so much medication, And I learned that I was probably also dealing with opioid-induced hyperalgesia. So after a few weeks inpatient detox, I started the FRP. Some of the non-pharmacological treatments the FRP offered were physical therapy, occupational therapy, and art therapy. They also offered wellness classes where we learned things like Tai Chi and meditation, doctor's lectures on things like nutrition, and group psychotherapy, where we discussed things like sleep hygiene and how to communicate with your family and friends regarding your pain. Over the course of the 8-week program, and for months, and in some cases years after the program, I continued to make progress. I learned how to walk again, climb stairs, and improve my balance. I'm able to live in my own apartment, travel, have a social life, and I've learned to drive with a left foot accelerator. I've also decreased my medications for CRPS to just gabapentin and a muscle relaxer. There have been so many other positive changes since I graduated from the FRP, but there have been many, many challenges since then too. Some involve CRPS flare-ups or spread of the disease to other body parts, developing comorbid conditions like migraine and fibromyalgia, and frequent acute injuries, some that have turned chronic and some that I'm still hoping to get rid of before they turn chronic. I have learned so many valuable lessons on my pain journey, and I wanted to share some of them with you today. One very important lesson I've learned is the importance of advocating, both for myself and in the broader sense. Before I developed chronic pain, I believed that doctors had all the answers and that they would and could fix anything that was wrong with me. I believed they would always tell me the truth, they would always have my best interest at heart, and they would always know which was the best course of action. This is not always the case. So I've learned and continue to learn how to advocate for myself. One way I advocate for myself is by learning about my conditions and various treatment options and then discussing them with my doctor. This can be a bit tricky as some doctors feel they have all the answers, but I try to advocate for a collaborative approach to finding the best treatment for my symptoms. After all, it's my body, so I should be part of my team. I also advocate in a broader sense by working with others to influence policy and legislation in order to improve the quality of life for those living with chronic pain. I've learned that instead of just being angry about the state of play, I can do something to help change it. Oftentimes, this means sharing my personal journey like I'm doing with you today. Not only have I learned that this is empowering, but I've learned that our stories have the power to create change. Part of my story is that before I developed chronic pain, I believed there was a pill that could fix anything that needed fixing. I don't recall ever having a conversation with a medical provider about alternative ways to treat pain until I got into a pain management program. An interdisciplinary pain management program was definitely the answer for me. It was where I learned that incorporating multiple treatment modalities into my pain management toolbox could have a big impact. I realize that these programs are few and far between in our country and are often cost prohibitive, though. Always looking to add new tools to my toolbox, I like to visit mypainplan.org, which is an interactive site that allows me to explore 85 plus types of treatments across 7 categories. I can then create a personalized list of treatments to discuss with my healthcare provider. Some may be covered by insurance, and some I can do for free in my own home. mypainplan.org is a great option because people with pain are all different, and we deserve something more than a one-size-fits-all treatment approach. Some of the options on that site may seem a bit crazy, but I've learned that I need to have an open mind. For example, when I was in the FRP, the 2 classes that I thought were pointless ended up being the most beneficial. Art therapy allowed me to realize the depth of my grief over losing my dreams to chronic pain and the importance of dealing with that grief in order to still have a happy and fulfilling life. Guided imagery just seemed a bit out there, but in fact, it has become one of my most frequent go-tos during bad pain flare-ups. As a result of the impact of those two classes, I'm now much more willing to have an open mind and to step out of my comfort zone. Being willing to step out of my comfort zone is what leads me to one of the best lessons I've learned, and that is the importance of peer support. In the early years of my diagnosis, despite living with my parents, I felt extremely lonely, isolated, and like I was the only one in the world living with this type of debilitating pain. I was watching all my family and friends in my age bracket get married, have kids, enjoy their careers, and lead active, full lives. It wasn't until years after my diagnosis in the first pain management program that I even met someone else with chronic pain. Just the knowledge that I wasn't alone had a big impact on me. I have learned that there is power in not feeling alone, and that talking with others living through similar experiences provides hope. This is why, when the opportunity to be trained as a peer support group leader came about, I stepped out of my comfort zone and signed up. It was one of the best decisions I've made as part of my chronic pain journey. It not only has given me purpose again, but it fills my heart in ways that I can't even explain. As much as I know I'm helping the people that come to my groups, they are helping me every bit as much. We understand each other in ways that people without pain aren't able to, and we provide each other with a sense of community and, most importantly, a feeling of hope. So, the final lesson that I want to share with you today is the importance of hope. I'm hopeful that there will be better treatments, if not a cure, for chronic pain in the not too distant future. I'm hopeful that we, as a chronic pain community, can create change with our advocacy in the way we are perceived and treated by society, as well as the way we treat ourselves. I'm hopeful that I will always be able to find something to be grateful for, even on my most painful, worst days. And most of all, I remain hopeful that there are better days ahead for us all, and that we can create new hopes and dreams. Hope is what keeps me going. Thank you.